Captain Atom number 5, written by J.T. Kroll, art by Freddie Williams II. We left off last issue with Captain Atom seemingly burning with radiation Renita's hand without even realizing it, and a family being absorbed by a diner that has itself been absorbed by that weird goop monster thing that we've been following for like 5 issues now. This issue picks up with Captain Atom just standing by the edge of a pool. He's looking at a sea turtle and he's just trying to figure out what's going on here. He feels like he's a monster. He can't believe he hurt Renita. He never thought that was something that he could do to someone, but he did get close to her and burn her. And he's just looking at the turtle as it approaches him. And he's like, "Oh, don't get too close. I might burn you." So he thinks like, all right, what can I do? What can I do here to help Renita? And he has this idea of, he basically just storms up to the continuum where she's trying to heal up. He moves past Eiling and all the military. He just swats him down out of the air. He grows to this incredible size so that he can't be defeated. He swats down everything, and he just literally goes. He picks up Renita. Renita freaks out. She's like, "What do you want from me? What are you doing?" And he's like, "I'm just trying to help you." And she's like, "No, don't." And he tries to help her, and her face just disintegrates as he's like, "No, oh God, what have I done?" And he's like, "All right, doesn't have to end up like that, because that was all just a hypothetical in his head. Perhaps I could just be a little bit more refined than that." So he turns himself invisible, and he teleports to the continuum facility, and he just phases his way through the walls until he gets to Renita's room. And inside Renita's room, Dr. Alexander's like, "Why is she not waking up?" as Magala's also in there. And Magala's like, "She's in shock, Alexander. That's not unusual for someone to go through after that significant of an injury." And Captain Atom pops in, and he's like, "Hey, hi, I'm not here to hurt her." And Alexander's like, "Yeah, okay, you're not here to hurt her. Get out of here now. You are only going to mess things up." And he's like, "I'm only here to help." And he's like, "Yeah, and you're gonna mess it up again." And basically it's just a big blow up between them, where Alexander basically says, like, "You are a mistake. You are a nightmare. You are a monster. You should not be alive. Like, end of story. You are only causing pain and suffering to those around you." And Magala interjects, and he's like, "Hey, hold on, wait a minute. If you're here, General Eiling is still looking for you, and he got a trace of your energy signature in Washington State." And Captain Atom's like, I haven't been there at all. I have no idea why he thinks that." He's like, "Well, who's responsible for the energy then?" So Captain Atom's like, "All right, I guess I'll go check that out. Scott, you calm your tits." So he goes and he tries to find out what Eiling's up to. Apparently they sent in, like, they got a whole small town in Washington State surrounded. They sent in a survey team to see what's up. They didn't come back, so Captain Atom flies in under the radar. He's not letting Eiling know he's there. And he's like, "All right, well, this is a small town. It's quiet, but dear God, there's literally not a person anywhere. Where are they?" And as he turns the corner, he sees this giant amorphous blob that just has the word diner across its forehead. And he's like, "My God, what are you?" So he goes in, and he's like, "Oh, okay, so that organic bile is not just, surrounding a building. It is the building." So it gets a grip on him and drags him in. We cut back to the continuum where Dr. Alexander and Magala are talking. And Magala basically calls out Dr. Alexander's like, "Dude, this isn't you, like, fearing him. You have a certain level of hatred for him that goes beyond, like, what his potential is. You just hate him underneath as well." And Magala basically points out, like, this is what science is. Like, I don't fear him because, A, I'm kind of responsible for his condition, but B, it's dangerous. It's dangerous to do discoveries like this. And Dr. Alexander's turning over something in his hand, and Magala asks what it is, and it's a feather. And it's one of the feathers that was a part of the jets that he just, with a wave of his hand, turned into feathers. And Alexander's somewhat in awe, because he's like, he turned inorganic matter to organic matter, and he didn't even need a rib to do it. So he's clearly got some refinement for it. Captain Atom is essentially God, and he doesn't know how to use his powers, which is terrifying to him. So we cut back to the fight, and we see Captain Atom just blasting away at the creature, whatever it is. He's like, I'm not going to kill it. I'm not going to kill it because maybe you aren't a monster. Maybe you're just misunderstood. I have a certain kinship with that. And he flies inside the monster, and he sees that there are these human faces just embedded inside of the monster skin. He's like, oh, you killed the entire town. You are a monster. Okay, I'm going to kill you now. And he blasts it with massive amount of energy. But turns out that the energy wasn't destroying it at all. It was feeding it because, like the energy signature is so similar to Captain Atom, the monster is like him. It absorbs energy. And we see this final shot, double page vertical spread of Captain Atom just in the jaws of this creature with all these tentacle things coming after him. And that's the end of that. So, yeah. No, this issue doesn't quite have like the level of philosophy or the level of insight that the previous issues have, but it's not bad. It's not bad in any means at all. I am so glad we're finally dealing with this goddamn goop monster. I think I've said for literally the past 4 issues of, and then there's this thing which we haven't dealt with yet anyway, but now we're finally dealing with it. And I see where the similarities are now because it has this way of absorbing things like Captain Atom can absorb energy. It has these parallels, but whereas it actually is a monster, Captain Atom isn't. And it's the question of where those lines are drawn between monster and superhero. So I really like that aspect of it. Writing wise, like, yes, there was the giant monster fight, but even the giant monster fight was all just doused in the philosophy of it. This really didn't have that much in terms of like, hey, he's going out and he's going to fight because that's what superheroes do. It's more of he's trying to figure out how he can use his powers to help, and all he's doing is like making mistakes. I think that's the general point of this, of if you have the power of God, can you afford to make mistakes? And that's a good insight to look into. As for this issue, I think it's very well done. I'm going to give this one a 7.5. I'm really enjoying Captain Atom on the whole for like just the questions it brings up, and the art style is very stylistic. It is not house style at all, but it works. It honestly works for this different feeling that I think Captain Atom is trying to get across, because he just feels so different than all the people behind him, which are like doused in heavy inks, whereas he's more painterly and watercolor. So yeah, no, I'm all in for Captain Atom. I'm looking forward to seeing how this arc ends, which I think is going to be next issue, but we will see if that's just where the trade ends or what's going to happen.